All eyes were upon me as I approached the carriage. Smile, wave, knees, don't trip, I said to myself as I cautiously climbed on board with a huge bouquet of flowers in one hand and holding my dress with the other. I sat myself down, looked around and bit my lip. I don't think I've seen such an effeminate space, let alone been in one. The wrought iron sphere has love heart shapes everywhere and some of the paper garlands we'd made hang from its gloss white frame. I look down at my feet in my dainty white satin shoes. I arrange my dress and can't help but feel more than a little bit special. All of a sudden I'm beginning to understand why some girls get giddy over all this princess stuff. You look beautiful, Vincent, my mother's voice says, dragging me from my thoughts and back to reality. I gulp and thank her. Don't forget to smile and wave, and most of all, don't forget to enjoy yourself, she grinned. I glanced at all the faces that looked in and heeding my mother's reminder, I smiled and waved. The driver climbed on board and the people stepped away. Barbara appeared to be directing the others, putting Benjamin, Anthony and Patricia on one side of the carriage and Janet, Alison and Catherine on the other. The carriage began to move, the crowd clapped, I waved and smiled. I'd expected more people to have attended the crowning ceremony, but as we made our way to the showground, it soon became clear that most of the townsfolk were lining the route of the procession. A marching band followed with a troupe of baton twirlers behind, and behind those, Morris dancers. On either side of my carriage, the 7 sisters did the slow graceful prance that we've been practicing each Saturday morning. They seemed to be doing well, although my heart went out to Benjamin and Anthony having to prance about in such a girly manner. They received bouquets of flowers, graciously curtsied, and delivered them to me. By the time we were halfway to the showground, my carriage was filled with God knows how many pungent blooms. My arms were tired from all the waving. My jaw ached from all the smiling, but at least I didn't have to walk the 1.5 mile route. Mother, father, Judy, Brown Owl, Miss Jarofsky and all the other parents greet us when the carriage draws to a halt. About a dozen bouquets had to be removed before I could alight. Did you enjoy that? My mother asked. You look like you did. Oh yes. I gleefully replied. Brown Owl said I was perfect. What are we going to do with all these flowers? I asked as I looked back into my carriage. They're going to be donated to the old people's homes and day centers. Brown Owl replied. But it'd be nice if you gave one to each of your 7 sisters, since they did such a sterling job of delivering them to you. Yes, of course. I replied before presenting each with one of the bigger bouquets and thanking them for their help and support. Benjamin didn't seem too keen on being given a bouquet, but he thanked me for it nonetheless. When I gave Barbara hers, she said she was still envious that it wasn't she who'd been chosen as May Queen, but she did say that I'd done just as well as any girl. Thanks. I coyly replied. I still think the May Queen should be a girl though. Oh, I wouldn't say that, she replied. If a boy enjoys doing girl things, then why shouldn't it be a boy? Yeah, I suppose. I replied. I cast my eyes over the faces of my 7 sisters, my parents, sister, Brown Owl and our ballet teacher Miss Jarofsky. It's been a long journey to get this day and I've had new experiences and made new friends along the way. It hasn't been easy, but in a lot of ways, it's been worth it. I turn to my carriage and pick another bouquet before stepping towards my sister and handing it to her. I couldn't have done it without you, Judy, you're the best sister ever. She took the bouquet in one hand and slung the other around me. So are you, she grinned. And I hope this isn't the last I've seen of my new little sister.